In the spirit of reconciliation, Up Past Bedtime would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of all the incredible lands in which we record this podcast. By extension, we pay our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, their past and present elders, and the connection they have to Australia's land, sea, and community. Hello and welcome back to Up Past Bedtime. I'm Bella Messina and I am going to be staying up late with you tonight. Yay! I told you guys that this season we would be doing more life updates because honestly, they're my most listened to episodes. You guys love when I just get on here and update you in long form about what's going on with me, and I'm coming through on that promise. This is going to be the first life update episode of the season. Welcome to season 4 of Up Past Bedtime with me, Bella Messina. This season, we're doing more real, more raw, more unfiltered late night chats that should feel like a conversation with your bestie. I'll be talking about everything: life, love, motherhood, and the messy middle of figuring out your 20s and 30s. So let's get right to oversharing, shall we? Because honestly, the best conversations always happen when you're up past bedtime. Season, I am going to try and do one like roughly every single month so we can all kind of stay on top of the main things that are happening in my life. The only issue I am going to have is I need to remember to like write down little points that I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that on the potty, so that I have things to update you on. Because it's funny, like as the month goes on, I could think of so many different things that I'm like, yes, I want to say this, or yes, I want to say that. And then when like the time comes for me to sit down and record, it's like, no thoughts, mind blank, I have nothing to say. So fingers crossed I can get a bit better at remembering to write down everything that's happening with me, and also not overshare it first on my normal socials. Like that's another thing I find really hard. Like I will go to like talk about something on the pod and then be like, oh, have they heard about this too much already on like my other platforms? But that's okay. We're going to jump in to a whole life update episode, but we're going to start off, of course, with my nightstand must-haves. And my nightstand must-have of this week is the burger tumbler. Now, I'll say this. I'm a lover of a special cup, okay? I'm a big emotional support water bottle person. I love having my Coke in like a really cute little cup. And originally when I got this tumbler from Burger, they did gift it to me because I did like a paid campaign with them. I had bought this thinking like, oh yeah, great. I'll put my like Coke at the end of the night in my burger cup. If you didn't know, I am addicted to Coca-Cola, and I have I say a glass, but I reckon it'd be like 500 mils of Coke every single night. That is like my dessert. So instead of dessert, I'll have, a big old glass of Coke, fresh ice, fresh squeeze of lime. It's like literally the thing that gets me through every day and makes life worth living. Life is worth the living, as Justin Bieber famously said. Anyway, then now I fear to say this, but this has pretty much overtaken my Owala water bottle. Crazy, I know, because I love my Owala and I use my Owala like if I'm traveling somewhere or like whatever, but this is just so convenient. Few reasons why. One, the bottom of it fits in my car. So when I'm driving places, I can take this with me. My Owala doesn't fit in the car, and I hate those freaking like cup extender things. They're so annoying. I love that this just goes into my normal cup slot, right? The straw is like soft and chewy. I feel like I like stim on the chewy straw. I am a bit concerned that I'm going to bite it off one day, but I love that. And then the bit that makes this cup just like ideal in every sense, it has a lock on the straw. So it has like this little twist component. And so you can like close this and then, oh, sorry, for people who are listening, I am shaking this upside down. The straw is pointing towards the floor and not a drip is coming out. If you're watching on Spotify video or YouTube, you will be seeing in real time. Isn't that amazing? Like incredible. I feel like they have the funnest designs. I did notice they're always sold out on Burger, and I'm like, I understand why, because this is elite. Like This is incredible. I do have a discount code for Burger that will be activated in, I think, but next week by the time you guys listen to this. So keep an eye out for that because I would highly recommend getting one of these. I don't get any like affiliate from you using that link to buy a tumbler, but I do regularly work with Burger. I love them. I love their like cases. I have like so much Burger stuff. It's genuinely really good quality. The shipping does take a while because it's like based in like Eastern Europe. So it's got to get all the way from there over to you. But the products are really, really elite. And I love my little tumbler. She kind of comes everywhere with me now. Anyway, I wanted to share that as my nightstand must-haves because I've had a lot of people ask me recently, like, do you like the tumbler? I see you using it a lot now. Like, love it. Obsessed with it. Have it on my nightstand at night because I am a water drinker in the middle of the night. I'll wake up and have a little like sippity sip, but I'm also trying to be really consistent with my water intake during the day, and I just find it super easy with this. Okay, now that that is done, let's get yapping and updating and having a bestie chat. I love recording life update episodes because I find like I don't really like, I have like a few notes that I refer to just so I remember all the points I want to talk about, but I really do just yap and just like say what's on my mind and really talk to you as if I was talking to a friend. And I think it's just really fun. And I don't know, I really, really enjoy recording these. The biggest life update and like the biggest thing I kind of wanted to touch on today is like I've had a lot of movement at the moment in my PMDD diagnosis journey. And I get a lot of people that send me questions and messages about this, but it is and it has been sort of a journey that I feel like I need to do in long form. You know, there's just like a lot of ins and outs and, you know, it's a medical discussion or it's like a medical topic, I should say. So like it's not something that like I can just kind of encompass in a minute on TikTok or in a DM where I've got like a character limit. So pretty much the long story, the very, very, very long story that I'm going to try and summarize and make short in case people have not been here for the whole ride. I've always had anxiety and depression, or what I thought was anxiety and depression. Then I got postpartum depression after Benny, who's my youngest child. And during the treatment of my postpartum depression, I ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD and ASD. Then I got put on medication for ADHD, Vyvanse. I always get asked that all the time. I got put on Vyvanse straight away because I had proof of childhood symptoms. I'm pretty sure that it's like you have to have proof that you had symptoms of ADHD before the age of 12 to get like instant access to long release ADHD medication. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that might be right. Otherwise, you know, if you don't have that, you usually just get given like Ritalin or Dexies. Anyway, and then when I was doing my treatment for ADHD, I started having issues where every month, like the 10 days before my period, I would have these huge mood like drops and I'd kind of feel like my ADHD medication wasn't working. And it wasn't just something that I was noticing, like it was something that GB was really noticing. It was something that my therapist was really noticing. I see her like every 2 weeks and she could really tell when I was like going through, I guess, that like luteal phase of my period, which is when you've finished ovulating and it's like getting ready for you to start your period and you have pretty much biologically a massive drop in estrogen. That's everyone. Everyone has that, right? And then in that time, it wasn't just like, oh, I felt cranky or whatever. Like I would have suicidal ideation. I'd be very depressed. I'd find difficulty in, you know, getting up for the day, getting out of bed, getting dressed, getting ready for work, etc. And yeah, it kind of got pointed out by a few people of like, wow, you're having these massive mood changes that you can tell on this week. And then it's like, as soon as your period's there, by like day 2 of your period, you're like, oh my God, my life's great. And I'm so sorry. I don't know why I was acting so crazy, which, you know, like it's not great to feel like that anytime, but it's like especially problematic when I'm a single mom and, you know, I don't have any like live-in co-parent to help me with the girls. And I can't just, you know, take a day off from being a mum if I'm feeling like particularly down because there is no one to pick up the slack, right? And then also like I have no one on a financial sense picking up the slack. So I can't just like take work off for a week and be like, oh, it's okay, we got another wage that's going to like cover it. Unfortunately, there's no one covering it. So I have to work all the time or there's no money coming in, which is also another big issue. And I was getting very, very strung out and very stressed because I was like having these, low periods, and then I'd just feel all this pressure and stress on me because I was feeling so shitty. And then that kind of led me to having a discussion with my psychologist and her actually saying, have you ever heard of PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder? It's like a more intense version of like PMS, I guess. And I was like, no, I haven't really heard of it. And she was like, there's a big comorbidity with ADHD. And the reason that is your brain uses estrogen to create like dopamine and serotonin, right? Which is like the things that your brain isn't really as good at utilizing when you have ADHD. And that's why, we find it hard to focus and stay on track and do things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're a person whose body is already not very good at converting the estrogen it does make over to be a functional adult, when you then have like a big drop in the natural amount that your body is making, well, of course, then you're going to have like these really bad periods where you're feeling down and you feel like your ADHD medication isn't working and you feel like blah, 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 because it's like, well, your body's not making the key hormone it needs to make to get you functioning at that like prime level. Any normal person has that drop in estrogen, or I shouldn't say normal, any neurotypical person has that drop in estrogen. It's just like felt harder for people who are neurodiverse. And then that's why there is like a bigger instance of someone having PMDD when they have that luteal phase, because we really feel that drop in estrogen. Okay. Please know I'm not a medical professional. That is just my understanding as someone who's been going through this process and has been explained by lots of professionals about what is going on. That is my understanding. When I was discussing this with my psychologist, we then sort of discussed, okay, what are some things you can do for your ADHD to kind of like combat this, I guess. And one of the options was, you could talk to your psychiatrist about getting some like top up ADHD medication for when you're in that luteal phase, right? You can take like, I guess, like extra ADHD medication, and then that can kind of like just bump you up during that period. Then I went to my psychiatrist and I sort of said, hey, this is what my psychologist thinks, but, she can't give me medication. You're the one that needs to give me medication. And then he was like, okay, I want 6 months of period like tracking to kind of back up, what she's thinking. So, which is fair. Like ADHD medication is like a controlled substance. And so he was like, I just need to see proof that like this is actually happening for me to give you like more of this medication. And another reason why he was like, I really want to see some like emotion and period tracking is because you have a lot of external stresses that are also going on in your life. I need to make sure it's not the external stresses that is causing this, and like this is actually something that's happening in your body. Because I was on the Mirena contraception, and the thing with the Mirena is it lets you have your normal cycle, right? So you still ovulate on the Mirena, et cetera, et cetera. The thing the Mirena does is it doesn't build up your uterine lining. So it doesn't, like your uterine lining does not thicken. And so then you don't get a period and you're not able to have a baby because there's nowhere for it to implant, right? And then you don't have a period because there's nothing to shed. Or some people in the Mirena, which was what I had this time around, have like a very minimal shedding, right? Like I would get like spotting for like 4 or 5 days. And I really mean spotting. Like I could wear no liner if I wanted to, and like it wouldn't like soak through my undies or whatever. I'd just have like a little bit of spotting for like a week or so, and then it would go away. And I was on that type of contraception because of like a whole bunch of different things. So he was like, go away, do 6 months of cycle tracking, and then, come back to me. Anyway, when I did that, I kind of was talking about it on social media, and I had a follower reach out and she was like, hey, I've gone and seen this particular practitioner in like this suburb. I think you should really go and get in contact with them. I think they're amazing. They've helped me so much, blah, blah, blah. So I put my name down on the like wait list to see the specialist gynecologist, and there was a GP at this practice. I put my name on the wait list for both, and I got to see the GP first, and then this is when I discussed like the process I was kind of going through with my GP or that GP, and she gave me estrogen gel to start taking just to like it's the most natural form of estrogen that you can kind of get into your body. So like the pill, like the contraceptive pill that we take is a synthetic form of estrogen, and I can't take it because I get migraines with auras. The transdermal estrogen, which means like you put it on your skin, is not like that. Like it's very, very almost identical to like naturally produced estrogen. And so she was like, here, I'm going to give you this estrogen gel because, you know, you need the estrogen for you to be able to like keep your mood up, keep your ADHD working well, whatever. So she gave me the estrogen gel and she was like, can you start using this? So she was like to me, after ovulation until your period or your menses, I want you to put 1 pump of the estrogen gel on your arms or on your inner thighs in the morning. And so I've been doing that for the last like month and a half now, and which was great. And I didn't see like a huge difference, but then I also didn't see like no difference. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I just got my specialist gynecologist appointment in that same practice. And so that was on Friday or Thursday last week. Anyway, went and saw the gynecologist, which lots of people have asked, and I think I'm allowed to share who it was. It's Dr. Peter Wright in Vera Wellness, which is in like Mount Sampson, which is like very, 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 very north, like Brisbane. It's not even Brisbane. It's like out the back of Sanford. And pretty much I had a conversation with her and we were discussing all my options, and she was kind of explaining to me, she was like, I don't know, like she's like, what are your plans? Like what are you aiming for in this whole process of like getting this diagnosis? And I was like, really, I just want like management of my PMDD. And, you know, I'm a single mum and I'm single income right now and I've got really small kids and like I just can't afford to like crash out every month. I was like, ideally, I would love to be able to structure my life around my cycle and do cycle syncing, etc. And eventually like just not have to take any additional things and just like figure out a way that my life is sort of, you know, structured around my period, which is like, I guess the most like effective way of like treating PMDD is like deloading yourself in your luteal phase, whatever. And I was like, but look, let's just be realistic here. Like that can't happen right now. Like I said, I've got small kids, single income. I don't have any like co-parenting help. Like, you know, I can't just deload myself on that 1 week because I have no one to pick up the slack. And I kind of had a conversation with her that like, I don't really have much options of like family or like village support for my parenthood journey. I have my mum and that's about it. That's the only person I can really call on and ask to help me with the children, aside from like paid care. So like a paid babysitter or daycare. And I have nothing against paid care. It is a really important part of my routine, but it's expensive, right? Like I just can't afford to, you know, pay someone all the time to come and do babysitting or whatever. And that also puts a lot of stress on me because I feel like I don't really get much physical support around me very often. I have very limited options. Like my mum was just on an overseas holiday for 8 weeks. And so for 2 months, I had no one to kind of give me any support or help. And that's really hard. Of course, I can ask my like ex-partner or the girl's dad to help me with things. But I don't want to. I don't want to ask him all the time. I don't want to feel like I'm constantly owing him like favors for him, you know, helping me out on days where it's not his custody days. And also he also within his rights has the option of saying no, right? So does my mum. He could, and he has on certain instances for particular reasons, but has said like, sorry, I can't help you with that because I've got my own things, whatever. Like we both very much structure our schedules so that when we don't have the children, because we do 50-50, our non-children time is usually very busy and like pre-planned and pre-packed, right? Like we're both kind of do it how it's like all our appointments are done in our no children time. All our work stuff is done in no children time. All our social stuff is done in no children time, so that the 50% we do have our children, we can really just be with our children and enjoy them, right? So I understand sometimes when I'm like, hey, I know it's my day, but I need help because of X, Y, and Z. Like maybe it's like I've got a work thing on, or like I've got to go to the doctors or whatever. Like sometimes he's just like, I can't, because I've already like planned my life around like not having my kids, which I totally get, respect, all good. So yeah, I don't have much support, and I was kind of saying that. I was like, I realistically, like the way that I know I would probably love to treat it and the best way to treat it, like it's not accessible to me right now. So my kind of goal is to find a way to manage it. And we sort of had like this big discussion, and she was like, okay, well, right now, you're on a form of contraception that allows you to ovulate and feel your cycle, right? So you're going through the whole life cycle of your hormones every, 30 days or whatever it is. And she was like, have you considered changing to a form of contraception that doesn't allow you to ovulate and like go through that cycle? And I was like, do I have options to do that? Because I was like, I get auras and migraines, so I can't have like the contraceptive pill. I have a history of depression, so the Implanon is out. I was like, I thought Mirena was probably like the only form of contraception I could really take. To which she sort of said, well, there's another pill. It's called Slender. It's not done on estrogen. It's done on progesterone. And she was like, we could look at crossing you over to that and then upping your estrogen dose so that you take estrogen gel every single day, 2 pumps, whereas before I was just doing like in between, like in my luteal phase and 1 pump. And then she was like, and with that, you probably actually wouldn't need to get any type of like additional ADHD medication, because she's like, your ADHD medication should work month round because you're not having that estrogen job every month. And so we kind of discussed that, and she was like, this might be a better way for you to just like get through like right now while your kids are so young and you're doing this and blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, all right, like let's give that a go, I guess. Of course, we like discuss like here are some risk factors, or like you might experience this. So she's like, some people get lower mood on Slender, and then she was like, some people don't. So she was like, do you want to try it? And I said, yeah. And so we're going to try that. And she was like, let's do like 2. Well, I'm going back to her at the end of January. And she was like, if when you come back to me in the end of January, you're like, I feel pretty shitty, like it's made me feel like quite low. She was like, we can figure out a different plan for you. But it was just so refreshing to talk to a medical practitioner, gynecologist, who was like listening to what I said, who wasn't making me feel like I was going insane, or like I wasn't experiencing what I was experiencing, or like, oh, it's just PMS, like everyone experiences this. Like it was really nice to kind of have someone there who was able to actually like set me out a bunch of options and be like, this is what we can do. Like, this is what you can choose from. What works best for you? Because I definitely think what you're saying is happening. Let's get to the bottom of it. Like, let's work on it. And that was just so nice and so refreshing for me. So yeah, we took my Mirena out, which honestly did not hurt at all. I remember when I'd had a Mirena before when I was like 19. From like 19 to like 22, I had a Mirena. When it got taken out, I remember being like, oh my God, like that hurt so much. And then when she took this one, it was this, weirdly as well, it was the same doctor. Like this Dr. Peter Wright used to work at where I had my babies, like where my obstetrician works. And then she only did like teen gynecology or very young gynecology. And I'd seen her in my late teens, early 20s. And she removed my last Mirena, and I was like, ow, that hurts like a bitch. And then I got it done this time, and I was like, oh, that didn't hurt at all, which then makes me be like, wow, your pain threshold really does go up after having kids, because I was like, that felt like nothing. Like I remember like having a stretch and sweep, excruciating pain for me. I find them very uncomfortable. And I was like, getting that like just pulled through in like a second, that did not hurt at all. That was so fine. But since having it removed, I have had so much moodiness. Like, oh my God, I'm bleeding like quite a lot, which like I was kind of prepared for, quite a bit of cramping. And I have just been a psycho bitch all weekend, poor GB. Any just little thing sets me off and makes me like, I just have felt so crabby all weekend, so tired. But like it makes sense, right? My body was like doing one certain thing and then I just like ripped it out and have started doing a different thing. So of course there's going to be like an adjustment period where my hormones are kind of like, what's going on? So yeah, they took the Marina out, which I'm also really happy about because, and I shared this on TikTok because I was so desperate. I have been having like insane amount of thrush and I'm convinced it was connected to the Marina because it started as soon as the Marina got implanted and I've had like thrush every single month since, especially around my period. So I was kind of keen to get the Marina out and see if like I'm going to see a change in the thrush. It could be a result of like hormonal like imbalance and stress, which, you know, the gynecologist was like, you know, it could be the Marina, but like she's like, it also could not be. So don't be too disheartened if you get it removed and you still get the like thrush reoccurring. But yeah, I was really keen to get it out. I'm not so keen on the moodiness I've been having, but I am hoping that it is going to like come to a close. And then, yeah, I just like swapped straight over to Slender. It is weird to go back to being on like a pill for contraception because I have not been on one since I was 19. Whenever I got my first Marina inserted, I did that for like 3 years or 2.5 years or however long I had that Marina in. And then I got that removed. And then I did natural cycles for 6 years or something, or 4 years or something. I can't remember. Until I fell pregnant with Rosie. Must have been 4 years, yeah. Which is just like a digital form of contraception. And so yeah, I haven't taken like a pill since I was on the pill, which I shouldn't have ever been on the pill. And I used to get like migraines weekly or fortnightly, which is so bad when I was on the pill. And I was like, I don't understand what's causing all these migraines. Well, such a bad idea. Really high stroke risk, really irresponsible with my GP who knew I was on migraines, who knew I had migraines. And yeah, he still was just like, yep, here, have the pill. The only reason I ended up getting off the pill is when I went and saw the gynecologist and I got my Marina inserted and she was like, ugh, you should not be on the pill if you get migraines. That is so bad. You are at like high risk of like a blood clot and a stroke. Like, oh my God, we're getting you off that immediately. So yeah, when she was like, oh, like Slender's a pill, I was like, got a bit scared, but she has assured me it's progesterone and I will be fine. Yeah, I'm starting that process. I'm really excited to kind of see what the results are going to be like. I'm also very realistic of like, unfortunately, when you are dealing with health issues and you're dealing with like medication and treatment, like not everything always works and not everything works for every person. So I've really come to terms with the fact that like you can't get disheartened if something you try doesn't work. Like I've had heaps of instances where I've tried like mental health medication, it didn't work, or I've tried, you know, certain psychology like treatments and plans and they didn't work and it wasn't the right fit for me. So I am also trying to be very realistic and also reminding myself like, you know, if this treatment plan doesn't work, you can go back and try something else. It's frustrating to go through the trial process because it just feels forever and you feel like you're jumping around on different stuff and doing different things, but it's worth it in the end for the results. And like I feel like the change I've made in the last like year or so is really reflective of that because I feel like I'd finally gotten to a point where like all my treatment was working pretty well and like I'd met the right practitioners and things were moving along. And I kind of feel like this gynecologist appointment is like the final piece of the puzzle that's locked in. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm really now can get to the bottom of a lot of the stuff that's happening for me and like really work on it and get stable and get things like moving and shaking and really be a better me. And that has been a really long journey, like years and years of trying different things, going to different practitioners and honestly feeling like maybe I'm just broken. Maybe there's just something wrong with me. Maybe like I'm just always going to feel like I can't get on top of things. And then slowly I've met people and practitioners who've told me like, no, like we can do this and we can do that. And, you know, it's been like I fix one thing, okay, that gets fixed, great. Now let's move on to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And this like PMDD stuff is kind of like the next or the last like piece of the puzzle, I really feel like, for me to get on top of. And I really liked the idea of not having to take more ADHD medication if this like slender treatment plan kind of works, because like it is a stimulant. Like I don't want to be maxed out on stimulants every single freaking day to survive. Like if I can just get my hormones under control and stay on like the amount of stimulant I'm already on, like that would be primo, and I would love that. It would also save me a lot of money in having to continually go back to see a psychiatrist and pay like $400 and something every time I go and see him for like 15 minutes. It's insane. This process has definitely opened my eyes to the insane amount of privilege you have to access healthcare, because this process has been insanely expensive. It has drained me of tens of thousands of dollars to kind of get to a point where I feel like everyone is, you know, a good practitioner. You know, I'm really lucky that my Medicare threshold has maxed out for the year. So my gynecologist appointment actually wasn't very expensive. It was like $75 out of pocket because I got so much of my Medicare rebate back, but I still had to spend up to the whatever it is, $5,000 a year to be able to get to that point. But like, say my psychologist who I see fortnightly, like I spend $270 to see her because like my mental health care plan, which you only get 10 sessions a year, is done. She finished like months ago. So like I pay $270 a fortnight to go to therapy, which is really, really necessary as someone who has like complex mental health problems. Yeah, it's just crazy the amount of money it costs to like get proper care, and it has made me really passionate at looking into ways that maybe I could like advocate or assist or something to like get that kind of changed, because I'm so sick of the cost of healthcare. And like I know there are so many of you who contact me regularly to tell me that like they can't afford to get the proper, like you can't afford to get the proper care that you need. And I'm just like, this is fucked. Like this should not be a thing. Like why is it so hard to access healthcare? And like this is like white women. Like then there's a whole different thing around like, you know, women of color or like people who live rurally and don't live in metro cities. Like there's so many different barriers to receive like proper healthcare. And I'm just like, it shouldn't cost me tens of thousands of dollars to get help that has drastically changed my life. I don't understand why they're making it so hard for people to get the help that they need. I am really grateful to feel like I'm making strides. I'm excited to start on this new medication and like see if it makes a difference to my hormones. And I'm just like happy to kind of feel like I'm finally getting to the pointy end of a lot of this stuff. And it kind of means in my therapy, I can move on to like different types of like therapy treatments like EMDR and like stuff like that, which I just haven't been able to access because I've just been like too volatile for too long. And like we've been trying to focus on like getting me like, you know, stable, which is the result of like when you have postpartum depression and extreme burnout and then you go through a divorce and you become a single parent, you move house and blah, 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 blah. That stuff is very complex and compounds, which yeah, it's just felt like for a very long time, it's like one thing after another thing after another thing. And now I'm sort of feeling like it's like ticking things off where I'm like, okay, that's kind of getting sorted. That's kind of getting sorted. That's kind of getting sorted, which is a really nice place to be in. And yeah, I just wanted to give you guys like the most detailed, I guess, explanation of what's happening and what I'm doing. Like I can't really give too much like advice because I'm not a medical professional or recommendations or anything like that, because I'm still, it's like it's happening in real time, you know, so I can't really share too much. Like people are like, can I have an update on this? I'm like, well, it's like I'm still trialing it and going through it. Like I don't have an update to give. But I can tell you guys like what is physically happening and what I'm doing and kind of like get you guys in on the loop of that. If anyone has any questions about anything to do with this, you can DM me at any time and I can answer any questions like as best I can. That has probably been the biggest thing that has been happening behind the scenes for me right now. I feel like I'm coming into like a really busy time of year. Like I always say this, like Black Friday / like Christmas period is kind of like for content creators or influencers what like end of financial year is like for an accountant, right? Like it's just a busy, crazy time of year for us in terms of like work. Like there is lots of work, there's lots of moving parts. Things are kind of like going crazy. You guys are about to get all the Black Friday content from everyone, like not just me. I'm like starting to think now, I'm like, is there anything I need this Black Friday like in sales that I should be waiting for? Because I love Black Friday. I do pretty much all my Christmas shopping before or like while Black Friday is happening, because I find that is like the most cost-effective option. So I need to sit down this year and kind of think about like what I want to get each person for Christmas and make sure I buy it when all the big like sales are on. But yeah, it's just a very crazy time of year. And like every single year around this time, I start feeling like a bit like stressed and burnt out, right? Like to the max, because it's like there are so many moving parts. I feel like I don't really have much time for like socializing or doing all of that stuff. Like I'm kind of just like bam, 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 work. And like I'm in season as well for the podcast. So I just, often get very stressed out at this time of year. And then like, I think for everyone, like Christmas time is a really stressful time of year. You know, it's very expensive and there's lots of stuff going on. I find, especially as a single mum now, I find Christmas really expensive and really stressful because like there's only one person paying for everything and that person is me. So that can be super stressful. As a result, I'm currently going through a process at the moment of trying to like be better at like automating my life and like setting up things for myself that kind of help with my ADHD. I've gotten into NFC tagging. I don't know if anyone listening has like gone down that rabbit hole in the like neurodiverse world, but pretty much NFC tags are like these. Oh, my foot's going numb. Oh my God, I had to change position just then because my foot is like numb. But pretty much NFC tags are like these little plastic, literally these little plastic things. I got mine from Amazon. I got like 50 for like $13 or something. They're like little tiny sticky dots that you can like put around places, and pretty much you can set up on your smartphone for them to kind of like trigger when you put your phone against them, and then they go and like automate a whole bunch of things. So like I've just started implementing them this week. Like I've got some on my desk and stuff that when I touch it, it like sends a message to my manager to let her know like, hey, I'm at the computer. So if there's anything you need me to do, like send it through now. I've got one on my dryer so that like when I tap it, it automatically sets a timer on my phone for the duration of the like dry cycle, so that like I don't just like leave wet clothes in the washing machine all the time, which is something I do quite often. It's like I put a load of washing on and then I forget about it for like 8 hours. And then I'm like, my washing. And so like this is just like a way that like it just sets a timer. I've also got one set next to like Hero's dog food so that like if me or GB feeds him, if you tap the tag, it'll text the person and be like, hey, I've fed the dog, or like Hero's been fed. So we're not like double feeding, double handling, just like little things like that. I've also got one that I've like tap at the start of the day and it like sends a message to GB to be like, good morning, like I'm up for the day, love you, have a good day. And then it like opens up my skylight so I can see my to-do list for the day. And it like turns my, phone on to like whatever focus setting I want it, and turns the light off in the lounge room because I've got like a smart light in my lounge room, just like things like that, which I think is so cool and so convenient for someone like me who has ADHD and does forget a lot of things and finds it really hard to like automate things. And I just have really bad, like I suffer with like understanding like object permanence. Like if something's not in front of my face, I just forget it exists, and that's not good and not something that makes for a productive adult. So I've been doing that at the moment to try and like automate a bit more stuff and get me a bit more organized. I've been really trying to like be strict on like my to-do lists, my reminders. I've like got my RoboVac now, and I've been like really good at like trying to remember to like do things as I go and not let things pile up. So I've been finding that process really helpful, which is nice. I am going through like a massive stress at the moment though, because my lease in this house is up in March next year. And the problem with that is I actually don't know what I'm going to do with this house. I had thought, there was like not one single part of me that thought when I moved into this house that I wouldn't know what I was doing with my divorce by the time like the lease came to an end. Like there was just no way that I thought like my divorce wouldn't be settled by March 2026. But I actually have no idea when my divorce is going to settle. And so then I'm also at the moment trying to go through like a really big process of deciding what I want to do about my living situation. And there is nothing more stressful in life than not knowing where you're going to be living long term. I'm like, I really don't want to frickin' move for the third time in 18 months. But then I'm also like, the rent here is really quite expensive. Do I want to extend on here and then, keep paying this rent and legal fees? Because look, the plan had always been that my divorce was going to settle, and then I was hoping I would have enough money to then go and buy some type of anything for me to own and live in. And yeah, then I wouldn't have to be worrying about renting or whatever, because a big issue I have with renting is I work from home and I record the potty from home. So I kind of need space to be able to do that. And that means then I have to have a bigger, I guess, house or townhouse or apartment or whatever, which is really challenging. I also have a certain amount of suburbs that I have to stay within for schooling and daycare reasons, and that is really hard because they're not cheap suburbs, I'll tell you that much for free. And yeah, the rent on here is it's not crazy, but for a single income person, it is a lot of money. I feel like if you had two people contributing to the rent, it would be more than fine. But when there's only one of you, it is really, really, really taxing. And so, yeah, now I'm going through the stress of being where am I going to live? Because it's I'm about to go into the busiest period of work. Then I've got Christmas time. Then for my birthday, I'm going on a holiday in January, at the end of January, which I'm so excited about. Amazing. Wow, so lucky. Definitely not complaining about that. But then it will kind of be get back from that, and I got to instantly be okay, if I'm not staying in this house, I'm going to have to really quickly try and find another place to live, or otherwise I've got to make the decision of no, I am going to stay here and just cop the cost of the rent on the chin when I'm also paying legal fees. That's so stressful. Or I guess my third option is I could go home to my mum's, but then I wouldn't be able to do the potty. I'd have to just pause the potty until I'd able to find my own house, because there'd just be nowhere for me to physically record it in her house. And the girls and I would all be squished into one bedroom. So it'd be me, Rosie and Benny all living in one little room, which also not ideal. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. And it's stressing me the frick out on what I should choose and what choice I should make, because I was really hopeful that by the time this lease ended, I would either be only extending for a little bit while I searched for a house, and maybe asking them can we do month by month or whatever, or I was hoping that I had found, I had long settled and was ready to move into a house or apartment or townhouse or whatever. So yeah, it's now just stressful to be I don't know what to do, and I don't know what the right choice is. And yeah, I think I posted this on my subscribers the other day, that I'm just getting very over everything in my life just being about money, and in a stressful way, not in a great way, in a way of oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, and I feel really stressed, and I don't know if I'm making the right choices, and I don't know what choices to make, and I don't know how I'm going to do this, and la 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 la. I'm just so over that. Really, I just want my divorce fucking to finalize and for me to be able to do a long-term plan. I really think that is where the massive stress is coming from, is I am someone who needs routine, and I need long-term planning, and I just am that type of person. I've always been that type of person. And so when I'm have been in the last, I don't know, whatever it is, year and a bit, where I've kind of been I don't have any plan. I can't plan more than a month ahead or 2 months ahead. It freaking stresses me out, and I'm so over it. And I'm just I don't want to do this. I want to just be able to be okay, well, this is the reality. This is what, everything is finalized as. Okay, let's make a decision from there. But I just can't right now. And that's been really shitty. And I would not wish it on my worst enemy, because it is so stressful when you have two people who are dependent on you, and you're trying to keep stable. And that's the thing. I'm far out. I don't want to move the girls again and disrupt them again. Rosie already goes why do we move house so much? Blah, blah, blah. I'm am I going to do that to them again and make them resettle in some new house with new everything again. Like, obviously, you know, like beggars can't be choosers. If that's the reality, it's the reality. But it just is really frustrating to be in that situation when I want to be in a different situation. And yeah, I've been crashing out about it for like the last week because I'm feeling stressed that I don't know what I want to do or what I'm going to be doing. And I'm just really hoping that a clear path and decision can be made soon so that I'm, not continually feeling stressed about money and where I'm going to live and stability and longevity. I'm over flying by the seat of my pants. Like, I want to have a clear path and a clear plan again. I don't want to be doing this like, I don't know, I'm just swinging it and going with it. Like, it's getting old now. It's getting old now. Anyway, that is where I'm at right now. They're the main updates that I wanted to talk to you guys about, the things that I've kind of been going through. Like I said, I will be doing life updates about once a month-ish on the potty so that we can stay in touch and you guys can kind of be across everything that's going on for me. It's also really great to be able to refer people to like an episode when they ask me like big long-winded questions. Like when people ask me about PMDD, I can now say like, go listen to this episode and you'll get like a big background about what's happening and where I'm at with that and etc. On life update episodes, we won't be doing bedtime stories because bedtime stories is for me to be able to give you a life update every week. I got nothing more to update you on when I've done a whole episode of life updates, doll. I'm really excited though because we have some cool guest episodes coming up in coming weeks, which is going to be so cool. I've got some recording of them like literally this week and next week, which will be really fun. Also, if you want the potty to be able to continue on next season, keep your fingers crossed that I figure out my freaking living situation and I get to go somewhere that I can set up all my potty stuff and keep doing it, you know? Otherwise, we're going to have a hiatus until I can come back, which I really, 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 really don't want to do. But anyway, I feel like I've just really brain dumped on you all. So I'm going to love you and I'm going to leave you. Sweet dreams.